So we're out here on some private property here with Tim Odom. Tim is head of procurement for Loncala and manages, well, I'll let you do introductions. How many different crews do you manage at this point, Tim?
Right now we have two crews, one contract crew and one in-house crew. And that's what we manage right now. We're due to in the last 6 weeks, we've shut down one crew. So we had a total of 3, now we got 2.
Okay.
So
how many loads do you move in a typical week under your current arrangement?
Right now we're underneath our current arrangement. We move around 110 to 120 loads of wood a week.
Okay. And that's, so how many acres does that translate to that you're cutting on? And I know it depends on whether it's a clear cut or a thinning. Yeah.
It varies. Usually if we use an average of 3 loads to acre, you take 110 divided by 3 and that would come up with the acreage.
About 40 acres.
About 40 acres.
Yeah, somewhere.
40 acres a week, yes.
Okay. So how long have you been doing this, Tim?
I've been working with Loncala for 30 years now, and been doing it since I started. And but prior to that, I was working with different companies, and I've represented or in the field of forestry now for 35 years.
How much of your work is public land versus private land?
Most of it is going to be private instead of public.
Okay. And Loncala has acreage as well as buying wood on the open market. They're a timber buyer as well as a landowner.
Yes.
As well as a logger in this case.
That's right.
Yeah.
We roughly cut around 1,000 acres a year off of Loncala property, and again we cut another 60 to 70,000 tons of open market wood.
Okay.
Translating that roughly anywhere from 120 to 130,000 tons a year.
That's a lot of wood.
Yes, it is. A lot of wood.
So we're standing on a private piece of ground, and this is a marked thinning.
Yes.
It was a 4th row thinning.
Right.
And then you came back in and they marked basically to keep the chip and saw.
Yes.
And you came back through and took all the pulpwood out of it.
Following up with that question, this is the 4th row thinning. Operators selected first with the takeout rows. Then we came back and took out the undesirables underneath and leaving the better residual trees for carry on. And roughly we try to maintain a 45 to 50 base area.
And this is a hay is cut.
Hay is cut.
So is it one price for pulpwood and one for chip and saw, or is it a composite between the two?
One price for tree length pulpwood, one price for double bump, and one price for chip and saw.
Okay.
So three prices. 3 prices.
And is the pulpwood all going to one mill, or where's the wood going?
Okay. The tree length wood is going to the West Rock at Maxville. The double bump is going to GP at Alaska. The tree length chip salt is going to West Fraser at Echo.
Okay.
So 3 mills.
So you've got 2 decks on this sale.
Yes.
Talk a little bit about how you decide where your decks are going to be, why they're where they are, those sorts of things.
Hopefully in the video you can see that due to the terrain, looking back behind Rob, you can see the deck there. It strategically matches where we take the cut corridors out with the turn rows and also the takeout rows, because ideally we want to set up on top of the hill, not on the bottom of the hill because of the cut row. On the other side over there, we pretty much set up in the middle and took everything to the cut corridor in the middle and then came out to the rim.
You say cut corridor, functionally that's the skid trail.
Yes, skid trail.
You're dragging everything up through.
That's right.
Okay. All right. And obviously it's got to be accessible from the road.
Yes.
You got to be able to get the trucks in and out to it.
Right.
Yeah. Do you guys handle all your own trucking, or is it contract trucking?
Yes, so Loncala has their fleet of trucks. Okay. We're running 4 trucks right now, and they're trying to make anywhere from 10 to 12 loads a week, or excuse me, 10 to 12 loads a day.
Yeah. Okay.
So translates to about 6 people a day.
What's the biggest change that you've seen in the logging business and the timber market in the last 10 years, 20 years?
Probably the biggest change would be with the employees. We went from a 5 to 6 employee crew down to a 3 to 4 employee crew, and producing pretty much about the same production each week.
Is that because the equipment got better?
Equipment is bigger and more productive, and operator comfort. I mean, it's just a lot better equipment today.
That's one of the things I've noticed.
Yes.
Is just in the last 20 years, it seems like equipment has gotten so much more nimble, and also being able to go places that you couldn't necessarily gone before. Most of what you're doing is hill work.
Yes.
You don't get into swamp logging.
No swamp logging.
A little bit of it's oversight and buying, I would assume. Yeah. But that's a big deal. That equipment has gotten so much better.
Right. I mean, the comforts of when I first started was open cab tractors versus today. The comforts of air conditioning windows and seats. I mean, air ride seats. We got bigger tires. I mean, just all around better equipment today.
How much does it cost to start a logging crew? Just in equipment.
New equipment, you're probably looking at somewhere in the neighborhood of 800,000 to $1 million.
And then used, I'm sure it depends. But
it depends upon the equipment.
Yeah. Okay.
So, I mean, some crews can start out at $350,000 to $400,000.
Okay.
On just equipment.
Yeah. Right. Plenty of money.
Plenty of money.
So there's two kinds of BMPs, obviously. There's your silviculture BMPs that are mostly focused on water quality, and then you've got your forestry wildlife BMPs that are focused on gopher tortoises, burrowing animals, bird species, rookeries, etc. Talk a little bit about how you work around those and how you deal with those.
Well, with the guidelines of the Florida Forestry Services with the BMPs, we try to govern ourselves based on their manual. And if we get into a sensitive area, we try to stay back from the riparian areas based on their specs or their guidelines. Low water crossings, we look at trying to ford them, but in the event that we can't ford them, we try to put a culvert in and do it specifications. And also, if it's a named creek, we try to get the farther surface out there to look at the creek and tell us what we need to do.
Try to get ahead of it.
Try to get ahead of it. That's right.
That makes sense.
That's right.
Yeah. Okay.
On the wildlife and gopher tortoises, we try to stay away from their burrowing dens and adhere to whatever restrictions there are out.
So on this sale, I noticed you're spreading the slash back out, the logging slash back out through the stand. Is there a one practice versus piling versus distribution? Does it depend on the landowner?
It depends upon the landowner. A lot of times we'll leave it piled.
Okay.
But in a thinning area, what we're trying to do is take the debris and scatter it back down through the cut corridor at the landowner's request. On a clear cut, it's basically piled, leave it piled because they're going to come in and side cut the to